Welcome to week 2 Panic Room. Unfortunately, there's plenty to panic about this week, I feel like. It didn't get any better than week 1. So, how are you guys doing? Kyle, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I went 8-2 this week, so feeling pretty
Hey,
good.
yeah, you have a lot of digs, and Alan, I feel like you got a lot of stock, so it must have been a good night for you.
I got the Allen Diggs stack in 2 leagues. Otherwise,
Oh,
I don't have any stock in either of them and anywhere else. So
cool. I'm really glad I could be on the ass whooping end of one of those, so that makes me super happy. On that note, Tony, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you doing, Corey?
Oh, I can only complain about that matchup with Kyle. That's about it. No, I had a huge lead going into one game tonight, and all that was left for the other guy was the Bills defense, and they proceeded to get outscore Patrick Mahomes for him, and got about 22 points, and I won by about half a point. So, whew, by the skin of my teeth, we'll just hope for no adjustments in that score because that would be horrible, and I'd end up losing. So. Woo, makes me nervous.
I won a
Well, look.
matchup off of an adjustment last week, so
Ugh, makes me nervous.
Like Sean McVay said after their win yesterday, a win is a win.
A win is a win. I will take it, especially in fantasy football, for
That's
sure.
right.
hey, if we're talking about coach quotes, I want to mention one that I hated. The Falcons coach saying it's not fantasy football, we're just trying to win. How dare you, sir?
Yeah, he has his priorities all wrong. If he's putting his games over ours, how dare he?
You will throw to Kyle Pitts and you will like it.
Yeah, I didn't realize he said that, and I am unhappy with him.
I saw that quote and I was like, oh, how dare you? That's so mean.
That's messed up, dude. That's not real.
How does throwing to Kyle Pitts and winning not go hand in hand? I don't.
Right.
Needless to say, I'm kind of giving away one guy on our list. But what up, Albert?
What's up? We got Albert in the house over here. All right, so should we just go ahead and jump into some panics and pardons over here? Let's go ahead and pull that up there. All right. Look at that. We got Albert already over here with the buy low on Dalvin Cook.
That's our Wednesday show, bruv.
Yeah, buy low is tomorrow night, man. We're panicking tonight, Albert.
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
Ah,
Wednesday is a buy sell.
but of course you're buying low on Dalvin Cook. Silly. Anyways, okay. Do you want to do this by position here? Or you want me to mix it up for you and throw different guys around? Let's mix it up.
Right.
Let's
go
not
with-
go down this.
Dealer's choice.
Yeah. That sounds fun. And I am dealer. And I'm just gonna throw that out there now.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Let's go with an easy one here. Let's go Rashad Penny as our first one here. I'll throw him out here on the board. Are we panicking on Rashad Penny? We'll go with Tony on this one.
Well, it depends what your expectations were on Rashad Penny coming into the season. If you drafted him if you punted on running back and you drafted him kind of the mid to late rounds, you can't panic on him for what you paid for him. You're going to continue to ride him. And look, it's only week 2. So, no, I'm not panicked on Rashad Penny, even with Mr. Walker back into the equation.
What about with Homer in the equation?
Look, I mean, again, if you drafted him to be an RB1, yes. But if you punted on running back and you grab this guy late in your draft, which is what most people did, then I wouldn't quite panic on him just yet. I'd be panicked on Rashad Penny if he was a first-round pick.
Or even your RB2. But I think, like you said, if you punt it in your – or even if you're looking at him as your RB3 flex or something like that, meh. I don't know about panic. Kyle, what do you think on Rashad Penny?
Yeah, I actually agree with that 100%. Like if you went at 0 RB and ended up with him as your RB1 or 2, maybe be panicking a bit. But most people drafted him knowing Walker was going to be back. Maybe not Homer so much, but they kind of expected he wasn't going to be a workhorse. I know week 1 he kind of filled that role and still underperformed a bit, but I don't think we can call him a true panic.
Okay.
In that game script, I mean, they lost that game 27-7, so they pretty much were abandoning the run. They're probably trying to get some touches for Walker, kind of get him into game shape. So I wouldn't panic on Rashad Penny based on week 2.
And again, that's something you kind of expected drafting Rashad Penny. They're going to be behind in a lot of game scripts this season. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. Speaking of behind in a lot of game scripts, how about Zeke? Kyle, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, dude, they're going to be in a lot of either behind or really tight type stuff going forward. Pollard looks so much better when he has the ball in his hands. And I really expect they'll start getting him more and more involved and Zeke a little less involved. So, yeah, I'd be panicking on Zeke just a little bit.
Yeah, I think Pollard looked really good this week.
He's an RB2 for most teams that drafted him because that's where you had to take him at. Yep. So, yeah, I'd be panicking a little bit there.
What do you think, Tony?
I don't know that I'm panicked. He's still getting the touches. He's getting quality touches.
Quality?
Looking at it right. He had 17. He had 16 touches yesterday against Cincinnati. And the one thing with Zeke too, he isn't going anywhere in this offense, and they have a very, very nice schedule. You know, they got the Giants in Washington, both on the bottom half of rush defense. They play the Rams in Week 5, who are that's a tough defense against the run. But after that, it's pretty much a cakewalk the rest of the season. So I'm not quite ready to panic on Zeke just yet.
Ooh. Yeah, I think I gotta get a little more time. I think I'm also gonna pardon him for now. I do think Pollard, though, holy crap, looks really fantastic. But who knows? Next week it could be Zeke just blowing it up and Pollard kind of flopping. It's kind of hard to say yet after 2 games for me. So I'm gonna pardon him for now as well. But for the money that Cowboys are paying him, though, they should be panicked. That cap hit sucks for sure. They should just tank and try to trade Zeke to a running back needy team as soon as they can. Okay.
This was a guy. The only thing on this guy is, remember, he was drafted depending on how many teams in your league, but late second, sometimes in the 3rd round.
Uh-huh.
And so guys punted, maybe went receiver in the 1st round or tight end receiver in the first 2 rounds and pick Zeke up as their number 1. Then I'm probably nervous. If he's my RB1, I'm a little bit nervous about Zeke.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. We got Derry Berry up in here. What's up, my man? Alrighty, let's go. Derry. Let's do what Albert's asking here on DJ Moore. Are we panicked on DJ Moore? I'm gonna say I am not panicked on DJ Moore. I mean, he had a better second outing here, and hopefully, I was looking at stats earlier. I saw some stats earlier that Baker Mayfield had 1.1 seconds to pass. This is average pass time he has back there. So I guess that makes me a little nervous with that offensive line being the way it is, but I think they'll figure it out. I'm not panicked on DJ Moore just yet. Tony, what do you think?
Yeah. I think I do have him in my panic column. His connection just doesn't seem to be. It doesn't have that chemistry. He's had 6 targets week 1, 6 targets week 2, and I think when we think about DJ Moore, we're thinking of the DJ Moore through the first 4 or 5 weeks in the 2021 season, right, when he just blew up, and I don't know if we're going to get that DJ Moore in this offense. I don't think that he's going to be that volume type of receiver in this offense with Baker. Certainly that could change as Baker becomes more and more comfortable in this system. Remember, it is a new system for him. And, we also have a healthy Christian McCaffrey right now, which I think dings DJ Moore a little bit as well. Because McCaffrey can be that check down guy. DJ Moore is that volume type receiver, and he loses some of that luster with Christian McCaffrey, CMC healthy. So yep. I probably am sliding him a little bit more towards that panic room based on what our expectations are for DJ Moore.
Yeah, Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not like drastic panic, but I am panicking a little bit. I think like Tony said, Baker, it's a new offense for him. He came in late in the offseason.
Very
off that
late
trade. They just haven't had time to work out the connection. I do agree CMC dings him on some of that volume, but Baker so far seems to have a better connection with Robbie Anderson in that offense right now. So I'd be a little bit panicked on DJ Moore right now.
I mean, Robbie Anderson only had 5 targets this last game, but one of the names I kept seeing come up with was Shi Smith, but he only had 6 targets, but it felt like he just kept throwing to him. But he just passed the ball around. Like I said, Smith had 6 targets, Anderson had 5, and Moore had 6. So it's just kind of spread out, and then you've got CMC, right, who's just catching all those. And like I said, with your line not blocking for you, you're probably dumping it off quite a dang bit. So, yeah, that's looking. Jorge says, "I won." Yeah, I love that. That's worth celebrating. I agree. So congratulations, Jorge. Yeah. So DJ Moore in that panic column. Maybe I'm a little biased because he's my wide receiver 1 in a league, and so I'm just hopeful that it's not too bad. So, Jorge's barely legal. Oh, he's barely 2-0. Sorry, my bad. It was same difference, right? Alrighty, let's see. Let's do a tight end. We'll save that one. We'll go with here was an exciting one for the week. This is a fun little discussion. How about Taysom Hill? What the hell? It seemed to be a prime game for him with Jameis Winston being hurt and with Alvin Kamara out. It's like, ooh, Taysom Hill time, especially after week 1. And then where did he go? I have no idea. Tony, what the heck is up with Taysom Hill?
And that's just what we're going to get. You're just not going to be able to trust him on a weekly basis.
Unacceptable, Tony.
I was talking to a friend of mine who was wanting to pick up a tight end in waivers and was looking at Taysom Hill or Gerald Everett. And I said, to me, it's a no-brainer. You know, Gerald Everett has a defined role in that offense. He's going to receive targets in that offense with the Chargers, and Taysom Hill is going to be up and down. You know, can he have another game where he runs it in twice for touchdowns? Absolutely. But he has this is his floor. It's a very low floor. You can't trust that in your offense. I would not want him on my team, even though you can put him into that tight end spot. He just doesn't have that defined role in the offense. He's kind of a gimmicky type player, running that wildcat, and he's not going to break off a 50-yard run every game.
I hear you. Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I actually got him as a throw-in on a trade like the night before and started him. And so I was very disappointed. But, I mean, Tony's right. He's going to be very hit and miss. Sometimes he'll be on a roll and get going. He did have that one long run last time, which isn't typical for a very large white guy. So we got, there's just a recipe for disappointment there. But I don't know that you necessarily have him to be your number 1 tight end week in and week out. So I don't know if panic's the right word for it. Just, I guess, try to
more like what Derryberry said, not panicked, just not rostering.
Just trying to, just try to pick your places, I guess, as wisely as you can, but maybe a bye week fill in only.
I don't agree with that. I definitely think he's worth rostering. He's a lottery ticket, because if Jameson goes down and they leave him dual tagged as a quarterback tight end, and you can put a starting quarterback into your tight end slot, that's a game changer. That's totally different. So he's worth having on your roster as long as in your league he carries that dual tag as a quarterback tight end, and if he becomes the starting quarterback for New Orleans, that he maintains that tight end tag, because then you could take a starting. I mean, that's almost an unfair advantage.
I think as of right now, he only holds tight end tag across the board, except for DK. DraftKings, he's QB only. So, right now he doesn't have the dual eligibility anymore, but he does have that tight end eligibility. So if Jameis misses games, then you absolutely can throw him in that tight end spot. I agree, he's worth rostering for sure, but you can't trust him on a week-to-week basis right now to play him every week.
Kyle, I need you to take over really quick. I have a kid situation, so take over.
I hear
I'll be right back.
Lakey throwing a fit. So we'll slide him over here in this pardon for now situation. Let's see. Let's hit a question over here in the chat. Jorge's got us a trade question. I can't pop him up on the screen because Corey's running that end of it right now, but he got offered Debo, Patterson, and Higbee for Kamara and Everett. And then he asked Debo or Pittman. What do you think about that, Tony?
I think I like that. Debo, to me, his value increases with Garoppolo behind center. That's a different offense. It's a totally different offense without Trey Lance. I mean, one of the knocks on Trey Lance, and we talked about this after week one. I know he played in a monsoon, but he is not a very accurate quarterback. His accuracy was right around 50%, and that is just not acceptable at the NFL level. And that really dinged Debo Samuel. But with Garoppolo behind center, this guy becomes a legit wide receiver one once again. And I still like Carterell and Higbee. So Higbee is involved in that offense. He seems to be getting targets. But you're looking more. It's like a Debo for Kamara type trade. My only question there, I guess you're going to use Patterson as your running back. I wonder what your running back room looks like.
Yeah, because like you said, Higbee seems to be more involved, getting more targets there this year. And it's funny because a week ago someone was asking us Debo or Pittman rest of the season, and last week I picked Pittman. But now with Garoppolo being the starter going forward, give me Debo. 100%. Give me Debo over Pittman right now. So, yeah, I do like that trade as well.
All right,
we just talked about this trade with Jorge.
Jorge, got it.
Now we're on J Cribs.
Got it. Okay, I can take back over. Sorry about that, fellas. All right. Thought on Etienne. Can bundle with Burke, Renfro, Smith, since I have CD Jefferson already a wide receiver 3. So with that being said, let's talk about Etienne really quick because we have him on the list. All right. What do we think about Travis Etienne, guys? Tony, what do you think about this guy?
Yeah, I was packing on him last week. J-Rob is the RB1 in this offense. And Etienne is more of that receiver type back. I think I kind of described him as a J.D. McKissick plus, that type of role. The Nyheim Hines, J.D. McKissick receiving back, but he isn't really getting the touches, and that's the problem. 9 carries, three receptions. It's 12 touches overall. A lot of people were high on him coming into the season, banking on him as an RB1. And these guys, you got to be careful when you gamble with these types of guys. The Breece Halls, the ETNs, not really knowing exactly what you're getting. And it's that kind of strategy is at least to begin the season is backfiring. So not crazy about ETN. His role in this offense as a fantasy reliable, running back.
Yeah, I agree. Man, his ADP was so high to have never played it down in the NFL. Just last year and this year just blew my mind, the hype around him, even coming back from that injury. So,
part of that hype was justified. It was because of the concern about J-Rob and coming back from that Achilles.
That's true.
So, but J-Rob, he's back, and Peterson has called J-Rob a 3-down back. He is going to be that workhorse on that offense, at least the RB1. So that really hurts Etienne's stock.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And just to touch down here on Albert, our Jaguars really going to be in a positive game scripts all season, though. I think we've seen in the past, it doesn't matter. J-Rob produces. He produced when he was healthy last time, too. And they've never been fantastic. They're the Jaguars, right? So we've seen him produce really good numbers with the Jaguars. So, Kyle, what are you thinking on Etienne?
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, the the Jaguars' negative game scripts, they've always given it to J-Rob still. And they're a better team this year, so I don't think they'll be in as many negative game scripts as they have been in the past. ETN, I know Tony had him as a sell last week on Wall Street, and I still heard all over the place. People were still touting this guy. Oh, he'll get the touchdowns this week. Oh, he'll bounce back. He's, and he didn't. He did exactly what he did last week and exactly what Tony said he would do. And so if you double down, now you've probably missed your chance to sell him at as high of a price. So yeah, I'd be panicked on that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Albert asks, is Jameis, if Jameis misses time, is Dalton the backup or Taysom Hill? Holy crap!
Yeah, that's a great point. Dalton is the backup.
I think it would go to Dalton before.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I think Dalton is the backup.
I forgot about Dalton actually.
Yeah, and I forgot they signed Dalton too.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that Taysom's role, if they don't still bring him in more as a.
I think they would rotate more than they do with Jameis.
Yeah, it's a gadget maybe with Dalton, but you're right. Dalton is the backup. Good call, Albert.
Yeah, Dalton is the backup. You might see more Wildcat if Dalton's the starter over Jameis, but yeah, you're right. I completely forgot about Dalton.
Calling that. He also asked panic level on Broncos offense. So we have a couple of those guys on our list, so let's go ahead and touch on them. Let's touch on Albert O and Russell Wilson. Let's talk about both of these guys. Kyle, what are we thinking about this Broncos offense? Been looking a little rough. What do you think about Wilson and Albert O?
Yeah, I think they're still trying to kind of find their rhythm altogether. I'm not ready to panic on Wilson yet because we know the kind of talent he is. I think Albert O was a little overhyped. As far as there's just so many mouths to feed in that offense. The running back, Sutton, Judy, Hamler. Like I think if you're relying on Albert O as your starter, I'd be panicked. But I'm definitely giving Russell Wilson a pardon for now.
Okay. Tony, do you kind of agree on that?
You have a couple of thoughts. I agree, Albert O. Albert O was never drafted to be a starting tight end. He was kind of a flyer, maybe someone you drafted as a backup tight end who gave you some upside. So I don't know how much we can trust Albert O on the season. I don't know how involved he's going to be in that offense. But he was kind of a roll of the dice to begin with. So we want to put him in the panic room. That's fine. There are leagues where he's still on waivers and not even rostered. It's hard to kind of panic on a guy who maybe is ranked around 15 or 16, 17th tight end in fantasy. As far as Russell Wilson is concerned, I don't think this is a Russell Wilson issue. I think this is really a coaching issue. And the Broncos have really been struggling in situational football and in that red zone area. That's where their struggles are, not between the 20s. It's in the red zone. So I'm not panicked on Russell. Russell is a stud. I think they're still figuring this thing out. And the practice schedule for the NFL is different than it used to be. And so, especially with the reduction in these preseason games, guys not getting snaps, you're seeing it with a lot of top quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, you're seeing it with Brady, Burrow, who didn't take snaps, Stafford, who didn't take snaps. You're seeing a lot of these top quarterbacks struggle a little bit in the beginning of the season, I think for that reason. So come September, when we're in September, come October, I think Russell's going to be okay. One other thing just to keep in mind about Russell is he has the number one fantasy schedule for quarterbacks weeks 13 through 18. So you're going to have this guy on your roster when you really need it during that fantasy playoff push, and then also in the playoffs if you should happen to make it. So if you got another option that you can play over Russell, he does have a tough matchup this week, but with San Francisco. But I'm not panicked on Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's just going to take a little time for him to get in a groove. Not sure what Jerry Jeudy's injury is looking like. I didn't see an update on that today. So that might throw off some stuff for them. But, I think down the road, I think they're going to be fine. Albert O, on the other hand, not loving that situation for him
Yeah.
as of right now. Alrighty, Philly editor said, I just traded Rodgers and Olave for Burrow in a point per completion league. Win or loss? What do you think, Tony? Win or loss there?
Man, I just talked about this here with Burrow. You can slide Burrow out of there, and we can talk about him now. Do not panic. Burrow's going to be fine. This is the lack, just not getting snaps. I know Burrow's a stud. He's got a proven track record. This offense is stacked, and I think they probably came into this season thinking like they pretty much were ready to win now, and had a little bit of a letdown here in the first 2 weeks, but as he continues to take snaps, get those reps, rebuilds that chemistry, he's going to be absolutely fine, especially with the receiving core that he has.
Yeah,
not panicked.
I'm not panicked on that. and I
love getting him in the trade.
Yeah, I think the trade worked out in your favor.
I love getting him in that trade.
I like that trade a lot, yeah.
I think that's a significant upgrade for you. Green Bay offense is going to continue to struggle, especially in that passing offense.
Yeah, they're going to lean on those running backs big time, which we've seen.
Can we do something real quick just with Jorge?
Yeah.
Just because he asked a trade question and he said he has Jonathan Taylor and Fournette.
Okay.
And so if he has Jonathan Taylor and Fournette, moving Kamara for Debo is a no-brainer.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Because he's asked trade questions last week about the same team, and if I remember right, his wide receivers aren't near as good as his running backs. So definitely get Debo.
And you've got a little bit of depth there too for bye weeks.
Perfect. Caden says, I was just offered Mike Evans, Justin Jefferson, and Nick Chubb for Cooper, Kupp, and Lamar Jackson. What do I do? I mean, who's your quarterback? But
who's your other quarterback?
I'd be curious to know who your quarterback is. That's interesting. Because
obviously this guy's trying to sell high on Chubb after his 3 TD outing.
No doubt.
But Chubb's a stud. Just that's what you get with Chubb. We talked about this last
week. He said he doesn't have another QB.
So you got to pick up on waivers.
Waiver QB.
Oof, that's rough.
Depends on who's out there.
Who's out there on waivers?
Yeah.
And do you need that wide receiver depth? I don't know. That's so weird. That's because you're getting a quarterback. You're not switching quarterbacks. You're not switching any running back.
He said 2 is available.
Well, that's interesting.
You can make that deal and grab 2. I'd be interested.
Yeah, I wouldn't let Justin Jefferson's performance scare you for sure. Mike Evans only got a 1-game suspension, so that's nice.
I mean, you can wash Cooper and JJ. So you're basically getting Evans and Chubb for Lamar Jackson and then Tua.
Yeah.
Waivers.
It's not horrible.
Let's see, his wide receivers, he has Kupp, Williams, DJ Moore, and Godwin. I guess Mike Williams.
Can I ask your roster construction? Are you starting 2 receivers in a flex? Or are you starting 3 receivers in a flex?
Wait a second with a do 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 do.
And who are your running backs?
I should have that teed up. I should just have that music teed up so that we can play it.
One QB, 2 RB, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex.
So standard.
PPR. 1 more. Who's your running backs?
Who are your running backs?
Everybody should just default put, here's what we start, here's my running backs, here's my receivers.
Right, for real.
Javonte and Kamara are his running backs.
And you would add Nick Chubb to that?
You would add Chubb to that.
And get some good depth at wide receiver.
He really has depth at receiver, though.
Right.
Kupp, Mike Williams, DJ Moore, Godwin. I mean, he gets Jefferson for Kupp. He adds Nick Chubb, but he loses Lamar Jackson. He gets Mike Evans, who he doesn't really need.
Yeah.
As long as you can.
Who is his QB? Who's his current QB?
This is great.
That's what I want to know.
Just send us both rosters.
Because if he's got a good enough QB already, I'd take that instead of Evans. Probably would help you more.
That's also true.
You got Elijah Mitchell in the IR spot too. He said.
Interesting. Your QB is Lamar. Who's the other guys that you can maybe get back in the trade? Ollie Boss. Duh.
Yeah, we know who your QB is.
Yeah, who's the other guy's QB? That's what we want to know. My God, we're gonna get
Russell Wilson. Get Wilson instead of Evans, and then pull the trigger. That's what I would try.
No, get Russell Wilson and Evans. Get both, and you have Evans as a trade piece. Evans just has trade value, so that's what I'm looking at.
Whether you take Russell or not, if you can get Tua, if you know for sure you can get Tua, I mean that I agree. I think Jefferson and Kupp is almost a wash. And you're picking up Evans and Chubb. I mean, that definitely bumps your roster, gives you more depth, and I like what your starting rotation starts to look like.
Well, with the injuries and stuff being the way they are, I mean, depth and good depth never hurts anybody.
Hard to come by right now.
Man, and the trade power that you'll have now, but even later on in the season, once more injuries take place and stuff, I mean, I love trade power. If you're in a league that will trade, then, I mean, I think
you just got to make sure you can get Tua.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't hate that. Yep. We'll go on to another one. Mike Williams, T. Higgins, Darrell Henderson for CMC. I mean, I guess it depends on what your roster looks like.
If you're desperate for receivers,
yeah.
I mean, that's not unfair, but honestly, if your receivers are fine, keep CMC.
I can't tell which side of that he's on, but I'm going to need more than that probably to know.
If you have CMC, it definitely need more context on questions like that.
Just my quick take. If I'm moving CMC, I want an elite receiver back.
And I don't want. Yeah, he'd get CMC, he says. So he would be giving Mike Williams, T. Higgins, Darrell Henderson for CMC.
For CMC. Oh, he's giving that for. He's getting CMC in return.
Yeah.
Oh, I would do that. Depending on what your receivers look like, I would do that.
Yeah, if that's the way the trade's going, do that for CMC.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you know who his starting receivers are once he does that?
No, that's all the context we have.
Gotcha.
Yep. Let's see. Let me get back up here. Najee Hollywood and Jeff Wilson for Saquon.
Are you getting Saquon?
I would.
If that's the case, yes.
Oh, no. I said I'm not using Hollywood and Najee right now. So, yeah, he'd be getting Saquon.
Yeah. Get Saquon.
Yeah, because we're nervous about Najee. Not loving Najee. But while we're talking about Hollywood Brown, hey, are we panicked on Hollywood Brown? Let's talk about him really quick, see what his value kind of is. Kyle, how do you feel about Hollywood Brown right now?
You know, he's not doing what I thought he would do with Kyler. I mean, it is a new offense, for him, but I expected more fireworks between him and Kyler's really spreading it around. Dortch has been really good and stuff. So most people drafted him really high, expecting a super stud, basically. At least until Hopkins came back, and that ain't even happening. So, yeah, I'm a little panicked on Hollywood and his role in this offense.
I would kind of agree with that just because there's this looming DeAndre Hopkins coming back, and he's only got 4 more games without DeAndre Hopkins. And if he's not producing already at this really high level, then once DeAndre Hopkins comes back, it takes even more away from him, and that's kind of scary for me. Tony, what do you think?
I mean, he did have 11 targets
Yeah.
in that Raider game. He doesn't have the best of schedules upcoming. So, I ding him a little bit. They just seem to be struggling on offense. It seems to be the Kyler Murray show there, and he's having a difficult time finding chemistry with his receivers, which is surprising with Marquise Brown. But the volume is there. Because the volume is there, I'm not panicked on him. I would definitely pardon him for now. However, if you can get Saquon, I would get Saquon.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree, because Jeff Wilson is pretty much worthless. So we don't care about Jeff Wilson, but I think you go for Saquon there too. So I agree. I think Marquise Brown has me a little worried, but I'm not panicking yet. He's getting over 10 points a game PPR. He did have 11 targets, even though he had 6 that first game. He had 11 this game. Not panicking yet. We'll see where that goes. Ask me again next week. That's how I feel about that. But yeah, go for Saquon for sure, especially if you're not using Hollywood or Najee, because you have the depth already. So let's see here. Affiliator, I'm currently in a bit of a pickle. I have Lamb, Sutton, Moore, and Jay Jettas. My running backs are Zeke, Penny. Who do I trade for? Who do I trade in for who? Sorry, cut off over here on my thing. So that's tough. I mean, I think I would try to trade away Moore or Lamb, and I would keep Jay Jettas and Sutton probably are my top ones there for me. Also, having Zeke and Lamb sucks. You got screwed in week 1. Just your season went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, for real.
What kind of advice you guys got for him?
I would try to package, like you said, Lamb or Moore with one of them running backs and try to upgrade a running back. You need some running backs.
Yeah, I bet you could trade like maybe Zeke and Moore in a package or something. Maybe have to keep Lamb. I could see that. Though I would probably want to keep Zeke. So if you can do like Lamb and Penny in a deal, I don't think you're going to be able to trade like Zeke and Lamb. I don't think anyone's going to take 2 Cowboys in a deal for sure. But Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, well, he might be able to do 2 package deals. He might be able to do Zeke and Moore and then Penny and Lamb or something like that, where he can maybe try and upgrade and get 2 other running backs. I mean, obviously that's where your weakness is, at the running back position. I agree. I think Jefferson's a guy you can't trade him. He's the most valuable player on your team. He's the most valuable player on anybody's team. And I like Sutton an awful lot. I know that the offense has been struggling, but I'm very bullish on him on the season. So Moore and Lamb, Moore probably crazy right now, but Moore probably holds a little bit more value than Lamb, simply because of the injury to Dak. But if you can package them up with the running back, maybe you can upgrade and get a guy like Lenny. Swift is probably going to be out of reach, but if you can get a Lenny, if you can get, I guess Javonte Williams is a guy I still like a lot on the season. But I don't know, do you want to pair him up with Sutton? So, maybe a Chubb or a player like that, an Aaron Jones type guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking up here. I had a thought. Do you maybe try to kind of go after like a buy low James Conner in there? What do we think about like a James Conner target?
Yeah, I think he's a good target. I think I'm still bullish on him too on the season.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook could be now.
I'd rank those other guys a little bit higher. Like I rank I'd rank Lenny and Javonte above a Conner.
Yes. I was just thinking of like kind of easy targets, even if you have to. That may just be able to be like a Lamb for Conner straight up, depending on people's. You don't know how people's rosters look. I was able to trade Joe Burrow straight up for Waddle on Friday. It was fantastic. Turned out fantastic for my team because Burrow was my number 2.
I'll tell you another guy that maybe you might be able to buy low on. A lot of people are panicked on. I don't get it, but in Austin Eckler, people are panicked on Eckler right now. And Eckler is a perfect guy to try and see if you can kind of target him. And if you can move 3 of those guys for an Eckler, I would do that.
Absolutely.
I agree. Eckler would be the fantastic get. Here's Jesus. That is extreme Kane. I'm in a 22-person league. Should I trade Mostert and Doolin for Thielen? Probably.
In a 22-person league. That's a very odd number.
Mostert, though, is he all of a sudden a thing? Maybe for 2 weeks until he's hurt? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I got Edmonds on the list, so
Yeah,
we can talk Mostert for a minute.
Yeah, let's talk Mostert and Edmonds here. Let's see. What do we think about Edmonds then, Kyle? What do you got?
Because I thought Edmonds, I had him as like I think he was on my. Is he on my boom list? No,
I can't remember. No.
I thought I did pick him in the Sunday morning show though. People had lineup questions. I picked him. I thought he'd have a decent day. I thought he was the guy. And then this week they completely flipped script and they went Raheem Mostert. And honestly, I think it's probably going to flip back and forth all the time, depending on who has the hot hand, since that's the term coaches like to use now. And
it's exactly what we feared would happen.
It's exactly it was our worst nightmares come true with Edmonds. You draft him expecting, he's going to be the starter. And then week 2, they flip it.
Yeah. Tony, what do you think?
Yeah. Remember, they were behind in that game. So I think kind of game script might have directed some of how they utilize these players. Mostert, to me, the guy's 30 years old. So I don't know if he's a guy that you can really trust. I think Edmonds is going to emerge really as the running back in that offense. So I'm not panicked on him. I mean, I'm going to pardon him. He looked great in week 1.
I'm also gonna pardon him for now. I think I agree. He looked good in week 1. I think game script, he got out. I like this trade to sell high on Mostert right now and get Thielen, who I trust week in and week out way more than Mostert or Doolin. You guys agree?
Yeah. I'd do the trade regardless.
Yeah.
But I definitely did want to go ahead and talk Mostert and Edmonds.
No doubt. That was a good one to talk on right there. Oh, let's see. Trying to get past all these trade talks.
It's funny because everybody with a trade question has other ones down below with more info. It's like a deck of cards trying to match all of the information.
Let's see. Is CEH a good flex? Damn it.
Much as I hate to say it, yeah.
Yeah, he fooled me once, fooled me twice, and the third time I finally give up on him, and son of a bitch, here he is. Look. Yeah, I think he's a good flex right now. I think losing Tyreek turned him into a good flex. New little offensive scheme there. What do you think, Tony?
I like CEH. Yeah, I like him a lot. And he plays on a high-powered offense. So Andy Reid definitely wants to get him the ball. He wants to get him the ball coming out of the backfield. I say this every time I talk about CEH. Elite hands. He's an elite receiving running back. That's his reputation. That was the report on him coming out of coming into the NFL draft. And he's still a very young kid. He's only 23 years old. It seems like we've been talking about CEH for years, like he's been around for 6-7 years. He's a young guy. He's only 23. So he's just starting his NFL career. Yeah. And he's going to be heavily involved in this offense. It's a high-powered offense. If you can get a part of it with CEH, you want it. Putting him in your flex, that's probably right about where I would rank him. Low-end RB3, high-end flex type guy. And he gives you some upside.
So Ronald Jones to the moon? Nope. That's old news. Cool.
Old news.
Is Jeff Wilson worth pursuing?
Hold on, Corey. Before you get to that, it's Ralphie says you skipped his question up here.
Where?
Right above is CEH a good flex?
Oh, I mean, sorry. I skipped over. I felt like that was part of another conversation. That's my bad. What elite top tier wide receiver should I try to target?
Any of them.
Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that.
Yeah, we don't have any context on your roster or
I
anything.
mean,
Like
AJ Brown, Jay Jettas, like Lamar or Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp. I mean, try to go after them all. I don't know. AJ Brown had a bit of a down week, so maybe you could try to capitalize on that.
So did Jefferson.
Yeah,
did
Jefferson had a low
Jefferson, yeah.
week. I don't think I don't think you'll be able to get him at a decent price just because he was taken first round, right? I think AJ Brown was more of a second, maybe even third round in some drafts. He dropped. So
Debo, go for Debo.
Debo's not a bad one. I agree with that.
He's had a couple of kind of
me.
mediocre weeks to start the season.
Yeah.
He's going to get way better with Garoppolo starting now. I'd go for Debo.
I feel like that's a good one too. Yep. All right, let me try to get back down here past. Sorry guys, there was a lot of. Good Lord.
Just real quick, one other receiver who had a little bit of a down week was Chase.
Yeah. T. Higgins 8. Well, Chase kind of had a down week, which you're going to see sometimes, but
it could be good buy low opportunity if you're looking for an elite receiver.
Yeah, if you've got the right pieces to go after these guys, then yeah, for sure.
I think your hardest ones to get right now are going to be Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs. Those will be the hardest two to get right now.
Can't touch Diggs.
So yeah, if you can get, well, and maybe Cup will be tough too, but if you can get Chase or Debo, yeah, AJ Brown, any of those guys, you're in good shape.
Yeah. Is Jeff Wilson worth pursuing as a Mitchell owner? I only have Hall, Etienne, but Burt, Khalil Herbert not used.
Depends on what it costs.
Yes.
When you say pursued, it depends on what it costs you, honestly.
He's either on waivers or was just claimed off of waivers after week 1, so he probably won't cost too much, right?
You wouldn't think so, but
yes, he's worth pursuing.
This guy seems a little desperate for a running back, so somebody could take advantage of that. That's all.
Well, and luckily he didn't blow it up this week. He had 12 fantasy points, so he didn't go off for 25 points or something like that. So he still might be able to get him at a decent price.
Just don't get into anything crazy because he's not going to be a starter all year. Elijah Mitchell will be back,
but he had elite utilization for a running back, 20 touches. So he is absolutely worth pursuing in that offense. He is going to touch the football.
Yeah, just give the guy a player and whatever he paid in Fab. Just give him a player and whatever he paid in Fab. Just give him his Fab back and just.
There you
go. Okay, I'm done with Juju at flex and starting CEH. Yeah, I'd start CEH over Juju. Juju's not producing really.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Start CEH.
Let's see. I don't see any comparable waivers this week. Cardinals running backs seem too temporary and value decrease with Kyler. Oh, I also messed up. Hold on with that. Let's go back. We have Juju on our list. Are we just putting him in PaNiC? What do you think, Tony? What are you thinking on Juju real quick since we mentioned him?
It's just you just never know who's going to emerge.
Yeah,
in that passing game outside of Kelsey, Kelsey's the number 1 receiver in Kansas City. Yeah, that's the guy you want outside of Kelsey in that receiving core.
Could be anybody.
It really could.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big Juju guy.
Yeah, put him in that PaNiC room.
Bye, Juju.
A lot of people expected him to at least be like a wide receiver too in that offense, but
3 targets.
Just not happening.
3 targets week 2. That's not
horrible.
cutting it.
Nope, that is not wide receiver 1 numbers for sure. All right, J Cribs, back to J Cribs. Sorry. I don't see any comparable waivers this week. Cardinals running backs seem too temporary and value decreases with Kyler. Yeah. I mean, I agree. James Conner is kind of it. I'm not going after anyone else. So
yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, He says comparable. Comparable to what?
That's what I got. Yeah, I don't know.
To Jeff Wilson. That's right. Jeff Wilson was his question. So he's looking
Jeff
for
Wilson is the guy you want.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather get Jeff Wilson than anything on waivers this week.
Especially as the Mitchell owner.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Here's
I
one.
had to put the two together. Now the puzzle's together. I'm with it.
There's so many coming in. They're layered. Yeah, putting that puzzle together really sometimes. I got Russ, Dobbins, CMC, Lamb, Waddle, Andrews, London, and bench is Godwin, Pierce, Carter, Walker, Dobbs, Parker. Who am I going to drop? White, Z Jones. Who could I target RB2? Probably drop Parker.
Yeah, you can drop Parker for sure. Is that Damian Pierce, I assume?
I would guess so.
As a RB2. Let me see here.
Who's White?
Yeah,
probably Rashad White. If I was guessing,
that would be my guess.
That was my first thought.
That was mine too.
Yeah.
See, RB2. Maybe you get a Clyde Edwards-Helaire or a James Robinson or.
I just don't know who you're.
Antonio Gibson.
That's tough.
Kareem Hunt.
It's so hard because when you're looking for a trade, I'm going through where do I have excess and where does somebody else lacking? Like if I have an excess of wide receivers, I'm going through every roster just seeing who doesn't have depth, who doesn't have enough wide receivers, and that's my trade target team. Then I'm trying to figure out who on their team I want. So it's like
he said, yeah, it is Damian Pierce.
So this is working a little bit backwards. It's a little hard without being able to go through rosters. It's really tough.
But I just listed a bunch of guys that I would be looking to try to target.
Yeah.
With some of the pieces that you have there at your disposal.
I almost feel like looking at your roster, Anton, that you might want to consider going in a different direction and maybe packaging Lamb in one of those other guys to maybe upgrade at receiver.
I agree. Though I do like London. That's a sneaky good wide receiver there, I feel like.
Yeah, you've got some depth at running back. I agree with Tony. You could help at receiver more. I know you got Godwin. He'll be back eventually, but for now,
we keep throwing the name Debo out there, but Debo is definitely a guy you can really look at. Even Pittman, who didn't play week 2. Some guys panic. Maybe they start 0-2. They got Pittman and they're looking to make a change. They're trying to fill a hole someplace else.
Put Lamb and Pierce or Lamb and Carter together and go try to get Debo.
Well, here's a name we haven't really tossed out there. What about Terry McLaurin?
Yeah, I'm not panicked on McLaurin.
Yeah, I'm not either.
So is he a target to maybe go after? I mean,
the reason I put him on the list. The reason I put him on the list was so we could say don't panic on him just because Curtis Samuel's outproduced him the last couple of weeks. That's not going to be the case the whole season.
Well, so is this going to be a good buy low situation on Terry McLaurin?
It's a fantastic buy low on Terry McLaurin. So I would absolutely be targeting him.
I feel like that's someone we should have been recommending a lot tonight and didn't. As a good wide receiver to target right now. One who probably isn't Darnell Mooney. If I'm just putting that out there, does anyone disagree?
I was
not targeting Darnell Mooney.
I was a big fan of Darnell Mooney coming into the season, but after 2 weeks and one of them not in a Super Bowl, I am a little panicked. Yeah.
What, like
the other bear that I got up there, Cole Kmet, he's got me freaking out too because I thought he was going to be a stud this year, and he's got 2 duds.
Yeah. So are we panicked on Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet?
I'm panicked on both of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
One other receiver I want to throw out there real quick, only because we still got this question post for Anton.
Yep.
a guy whose name value does not kind of come up to the level for most people as a CD Lamb,
I think I
where
know where
you
you're
might be able to package Lamb and even a London or Lamb and another player or two to get that I absolutely love, who, if you don't get now, might be untouchable in the next couple of weeks, is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
going.
He's a guy that I just absolutely love, and he's kind of picking right up this year where he left off last year. He's going to continue to be, I think, a monster in that offense in Detroit. And when you kind of think about Lamb for Amon-Ra St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown's value might actually be less than Lamb, and you might be able to move Lamb for somebody like that. Just
I
a
like
name I wanted to throw out there as a guy who you can get before he kind of is kind of catapulted into that elite tier.
I like that a lot. Like, yeah, put Lamb, and then I throw like Pierce, Carter, Walker, one of them with him, and try to get St. Brown. Someone else you could get really cheap, along with Terry McLaurin is. Wait, dude, I had a name right here, and then you were talking about St. Brown, and I lost him. Oh my
Another
god!
guy who I really like too, whose value took a little bit of a hit this week, and this is more for Wall Street, but Brandon Cooks.
Yeah,
Brandon Cooks is another guy that I like a lot.
Christian Kirk is who I was going to say.
Oh, Christian Kirk, yeah.
I had a brain fart. Dude, you can get Kirk probably still super cheap. Put Dobbs with another one of those running backs and get Kirk. Like you can get Kirk super cheap. I like the Cooks idea. There's a lot of receivers right now that you get super cheap that are going to be very good for you over the course of the year.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay, I'm trying to come through here. We have another from Extreme. Hold on. He sent. I'm trying to scroll back up. I feel like
Did we answer Ralphie's question? I see something from Ralphie.
we did. Yeah, there was that really open-ended question that was kind of hard to answer. We figured it out. So my roster right now, I'll let you guys just kind of read that. The question with this is, what are some targets you think I can go after with the team I sent? So this is going to be a hard breakdown here. Sorry, guys. These kinds of questions take a lot of time, too, for people.
Yeah, we're basically out of time.
Yeah, so I'd like to kind of skip this one, maybe come back to one of our other shows in the week where we kind of can break some of this down a little bit.
DM that to me.
Yeah, you can send us some screenshots. You can send it to us on Instagram, Fantasy Football Network, and we'll
DM that to me, and I'll get back to it tonight if you send it. Make sure you put the screen name you have here on it so I know it's you at the top. And then, yeah, I'll do it tonight if you'll send it.
Let's see. Kyle, isn't it so funny that Lance got hurt after what I said?
I don't know what you're referring to that you said.
I don't either,
but I remember the Tyler Lockett discussion. I don't remember what you said about Lance.
I know. I'm actually trying to find exactly what he said about Lockett because if I remember correct,
he said 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. He got 100 yards.
I thought he said 2 touchdowns.
He got 100 yards and no touchdowns, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So Sushi is giving a shout out to Tony though. But
that's Sushi's man crush, dude.
What's up, Sushi?
Sushi was on here yesterday. Like, when's Tony coming back?
Yeah, Sushi's my man.
Tony, don't get too excited because he's obviously a bad judging character. I mean, he's also a Tyler Lockett fan, so he obviously doesn't have good taste. Sorry, man.
It's just the law of averages.
Okay, rank these wide receivers rest of the season PPR. Terry McLaurin, Cortland Sutton, and Marquise Brown. Probably Sutton, McLaurin, Brown.
I think he's got them in the right order.
McLaurin, Sutton, Brown.
Yeah.
Tony?
I'm not going to argue with that. I think McLaurin is going to. I think he's going to kind of start to develop that chemistry with Wentz, and he's going to turn into the focal point in that passing offense at some point here this season. So, I'm not quite ready to crown Sutton over McLaurin, but I get it. I'm not going to argue right now.
Yeah, that's kind of a toss up for me right there. So I wouldn't even argue Sutton ahead of McLaurin either. So, Anton, thank you, buddy. Appreciate the sub.
Oh, did you see what Sushi said? He said, I forgot he had said that because I was like talking down the Niners and stuff, and he said, how many yards is Dak gonna throw for today or something? And I was like, oh, I said, oh, he'll probably still have more than Trey Lance, and he almost did. So he's right.
That's
That is
too
hilarious.
funny.
So
That's too funny.
That is hilarious.
Okay, we got a couple of trade questions here, I do believe. So let's run through a couple of these. Mike Williams, T. Higgins, Darrell Henderson for CMC. Oh, didn't we? This is the one we talked about earlier.
Yeah, he's giving us
he has
the rest of the
Eckler.
roster now, though.
Has Eckler, Edmonds, Robinson, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Sutton, Bateman. So you already have Curtis Samuel, Dotson, Sutton, Bateman. You'd be giving up Mike Williams and T. Higgins.
I mean, if you can get CMC for that, I'm all about it. CMC and Eckler together.
I love that. I have that in a league, and I like it.
Sutton, Samuel, Bateman isn't terrible. If you could throw maybe Bateman after a couple of big weeks in there for like T. Higgins or Mike Williams, one of them instead, I might try that first. But ultimately, I'd be okay with this one still to get CMC.
Yeah, I would too. Wait, it says and Devontae Adams. So you have Devontae Adams? If that's true, then
yeah, if you got Devontae
go.
Adams,
Push the button now.
Do it. Do it.
I swear I saw another trade question. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Dalvin Cook for Lamb and Damian Harris. What side did
You're
that
giving or getting Cook?
I want the Cook side.
Yeah, I want the Cook side on that.
Yeah.
In no world am I moving Cook for Lamb and Harris.
No, never.
No, I want the
Make
Cook
sure
side.
as long as you're on the Cook side, it's a yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we know who. You were wrong. We know.
What were those 2 TDs you called for, bruv?
Okay, let's see. Who win? I give Cam Akers, Zeke, and McLaurin for Saquon Barkley, Michael Thomas, and Montgomery. I want Barkley, Thomas, and Montgomery, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
You gotta get Barkley there.
And Michael Thomas is producing decent. So I don't know if I'm happy about it, but he is. Okay. Tony, what do you think on that? Which side do you want?
I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, Barkley side, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, Barkley and Thomas.
Love it.
I mean, Barkley alone, and then you get Mike Thomas back. Yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
And the nice thing here too is not only I think obviously you get the best player in the trade.
Yeah, absolutely. I got offered Chubb, Aaron Jones, and Brandon Cooks for Jay Jettas and declined on Wednesday. Should I have accepted?
That is a steep price to pay.
It's a hard one to pass up.
Man.
It depends on what your roster looks like.
Yeah.
But it sounds like that's the kind of move. If your roster is really struggling, you trade that one good player that's fantastic, but not able to carry your entire team. So you're not winning weeks. You have to make a move like that sometimes to give your team a chance.
Yeah.
Granted, if that's a redraft league, you have to make a move like that to give your team a chance. I wouldn't hate that if that's your situation.
Real quick, Philly. Aaron Jones to me is a sell high. You know, he has these types of games occasionally on the season. He started last year. He started exactly the same way. He laid a goose egg week 1, week 2. He had 4 touchdowns, blew up, and then kind of disappeared throughout the remainder of the season. So AJ Dillon is not going anywhere in this offense. Aaron Jones occasionally is going to have these types of games. It's a perfect sell high situation for him. So for this 1 week, should you have accepted? Probably, because Jay Jettas didn't go crazy and Chubb, has scored 3 touchdowns and Aaron Jones went off. But this is not going to be the norm for the season.
Get them and flip them just as quickly.
I was I was so unconcerned about Dylan's role that I didn't even put him on the list this week. All right.
Yeah, I'm with y'all guys on Dylan. They're not going anywhere. Love this. Albert, Sushi is finally here after Lockett has a good game.
Of course.
Yeah.
Other people are starting to notice, Sushi, that you only come around when you can brag and not when you have to eat your plate of crow. He just comes in to serve the crow, not the other way around.
Wait. Let me ask this question. What did he do week 1?
We'll wait. No.
Yeah, we'll wait. 3 catches, 28 yards. This goes back to last season, the conversations that we had repeatedly about Lockett being boom or bust.
Every week.
Prototypical.
Lockett's going to go crazy.
Exactly what Lockett is.
He'd come in and go, Lockett's going to go nuts. And then the weeks he did, he would come back on Monday. The weeks he didn't, we wouldn't see him for a week. That's Sushi's role on our shows.
Sushi's role, ROLL.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Kane. Thanks, buddy. I'll check it right after we're done here.
Yep, for sure. Should I trade away Mostert and receive Sterling Shepard? Both are injury prone and will be done in the next 2 weeks anyway, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Really doesn't matter, but honestly, Sterling Shepard's probably going to be more consistent right now.
Yeah.
Than Mostert on a week-to-week until he gets hurt, until they both get hurt.
Dude, I don't know what question that was.
What was it? Well, can you go back to that?
Sorry, yeah.
It's okay. I wouldn't do that. I would not do that because we don't know what we have in Mostert yet. Mostert to me is a hold. Let's wait and see how this running back situation develops in Miami. Sterling Shepard. Why would you want Sterling Shepard?
What's annoying about the Giants is they literally hire 3 new receivers every week and start them.
Well, Sterling Shepard had 2 catches in week 1. Now he did have 71 yards and a touchdown, but you cannot build a roster with receivers who get 2 catches, 4 targets.
That's just how much I don't trust Mostert to stay healthy.
I'm just saying if you're kind of trying to put a value on both of these 2 players, Sterling Shepard is not a guy that I'm targeting in a trade.
No, because you can pick someone up just as valuable.
100%.
Yeah. There's so much.
And Raheem Mostert may have spot value, especially in that offense. So yeah. I'm just not quite ready to move off of him just yet.
Yeah, he's 1 injury away from being the guy there, which could be good for him.
He might already be the guy. That's my point.
He might be. Yeah, hard to say. Okay, Ali Boss, I did find. Also, if we miss your question, it's easier if you just repeat the question instead of telling us we missed the question as we're scrolling on the list, because then scrolling back up and finding it within all the other messages is really difficult. So just word of advice for viewers for future, because these do get hidden in there with people coming in so quick. So Devontae for Diggs. I hate Carr. You want Diggs for sure.
You hate Carr, but do you hate Devontae?
To me, they're a wash. I like Diggs more personally, just personal preference, but from a fantasy standpoint, I think they're basically a wash.
Yeah, and we know Tony loves Devontae. He loves any waiver.
I think it's close, but I do have Devontae over Diggs. Remember, they were down Gabriel Davis, so Diggs is not going to go crazy like that every week. He can disappear at times. Devontae is going to continue to be a target monster in that offense, like Carr or not. You want to do what's in the best interest of your fantasy team. So I'm not quite sure that I would do that.
Also, just to speak, I know Gabe Davis was out, and Dawson Knox is still insignificant this year so far. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
It was just one of those nights. It was a Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs night.
It absolutely was. All right, guys, let's do some rapid fire over here on who's left on our board here. So, Tom Brady, are we panicked or pardoning for now?
Pardoning for now.
Tony?
100% pardoning him.
Yep.
His entire offense is decimated. Again, goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
Was just absent for part of camp and was not getting those reps. Even the great Tom Brady needs to get reps.
And he needs
So
his receivers healthy. Yeah.
he needs his receivers healthy as well.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, what do we think about Darrell Henderson? Panic or pardon?
It's so funny because last week Cam Akers was on the list, and now Darrell Henderson is on the list.
They'll just play no
I
one.
literally, I only put Henderson on here because I wanted to hear what Tony thinks after the split got a little more even this week. Because last week we had Henderson as a bye, elite utilization. Cam Akers had 3 carries, and now this week it was different. I'm just curious.
I got a question. Did you guys watch any of that game?
Negative.
Did you see any of the highlights of that game?
No.
I just
Are
I
you
was
in-
working. I was working through all the games, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, my point is, I think Cam Akers just he just doesn't pass the eye test for me. 15 carries for 44 yards. I'm not panicked on Darrell Henderson. I'm
Kyle,
going
what
to
do you
pardon
think
him
about
for
Darrell
now.
Henderson?
I'm gonna ride with Tony on this one for now.
Same.
We'll see how the carries keep divvying up for another week or two before I freak out.
Yep.
Because that first week was very different from this week. So
Very
again, it's 1 week, so I'm not gonna freak out yet. But
cool.
My biggest issue with Henderson and Akers is that this is, again, McVay wants to pass the football.
Yeah. True.
This is a passing offense that occasionally will run the ball.
I agree. Let's hop down here to TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson. Panic, pardon.
I'm gonna panic on him because Goff is spreading the ball all over the place, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is getting all the targets that Hawkinson used to get. I feel like, yeah, I'm panicking on him a little bit.
I feel like Tony's going to have an opposite view on this.
I'm not panicked on him. He had 7 targets week 1, 7 targets week 2, and that's what you're looking for at the tight end position. 7-8 targets a week is a good target share for a tight end. So I do think that we if you're planning on him being an elite tight end 1 in the top 5, that's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
in that sense, it's a panic, but he's a very startable tight end. He's definitely,
gotta
we
connect
can
on some of those
definitely put him in
passes.
the top 10. Especially with that, if 7 targets a game is a solid target share for tight end.
I agree. Amon-Ra just shines so big in this one. It overshadows those 7 targets, but they just got to connect on those. I think I'll give it 1 or 2 more weeks before I'm actually panicked on him, but I don't blame you, Kyle. Granted, and I've never been high on TJ Hawkinson in that offense anyway. I think he's been overrated. But the target share is nice, but it doesn't really produce that much fantasy-wise. Speaking of hype and it not producing fantasy points, but good trade value still, Kyle Pitts. What do we think about Kyle Pitts? He's very consistent.
At some point, we have to adjust our view of Kyle Pitts.
Thank you.
Because every week, going back to last year, just what I said about Hawkinson, he's getting the volume. He's getting the volume. Don't panic. Don't panic. Stick with him. Stick with him. And yet, continually, week after week after week, we do not get any production out of this guy in fantasy. So I'm ready to move him into my panic column, especially coming out of this week where he only had 3 targets in that offense. 2 catches. This is 2 weeks in a row, 2 catches for 19 yards. He was being drafted in the 2nd round.
Yep.
In leagues. Yes, he is not Kelsey. He is not Waller. He's not those guys. And we watched tonight. If you watch the game tonight, in a way the Philadelphia Eagles utilize Goddard. I'd rather have Goddard over Pitts right now.
100. Yep.
I'm until we see it on the field, he cannot be in your starting lineup, and I'm panicked on him.
I agree. Me and Kyle had this conversation just a couple days ago, and I went ahead and moved him into our panic column because I agree. But and I believe Kyle agrees because I just watched him sell him yesterday to somebody. day before yesterday, I saw a trade go through where Kyle had traded away Pitts, and something
you
I just never thought would happen.
well, and Tony, you both know what a big Kyle Pitts fan I am. Especially, I'm still holding in Dynasty for sure, but like when it comes to redraft, like he's just not doing it for me. And I literally sold him Saturday night in a deal to improve my team elsewhere because it felt like a last ditch effort to get value out of him. So, yeah.
And here's what I don't get is, and look, none of us here on this panel are NFL head coaches or GMs, but when you draft a guy at the receiver position, tight end receiver position, with the 4th overall pick, that tells us that you're planning on making this guy a focal point of that offense.
Yep.
And after Pitts went, Cincinnati took Jamar Chase, and the Dolphins took Jalen Waddle.
Yep.
So you see what Chase and Waddle are doing. It's only their second season. They're integral parts of those offenses. And Kyle Pitts is just, I don't understand that draft pick if you're not going to make him a big part of that offense.
Yeah.
And it just does not happen. So
doesn't make any sense.
To me, it doesn't.
I like what Daniel says here. Pitts will do better when Arthur Smith is not trying to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. Okay, let's jump up here to Elijah Moore. Since Garrett Wilson had himself a day. What do we think about Elijah Moore, Tony?
I'm not panicked on Elijah. I'm still going to hang in there with him. I think let's wait until Zach Wilson gets back in the offense.
Yeah.
Right now with Flacco has some guys that he particularly likes to target. And apparently Elijah Moore is not necessarily at the top of the list. But let's not forget what this guy did last year. And I still am bullish on him for the season. So I will keep him in my pardon list for now.
I agree 100%. And that's why I put him on the list. It was just so we could tell people, Garrett Wilson had a big game, but don't freak out. Garrett Wilson getting better is only going to help Elijah Moore in the long run. Plus, Joe Flacco is not Zach Wilson. So Elijah Moore is an incredible talent. So don't freak out.
Seriously. Last but not least on our list here, Hunter Henry.
Yeet him into waivers as quickly as you can if you still have him on there at all.
I'm going to say he's not on my panic list. And the reason that is because I had zero expectations for Hunter Henry this season. This is like me saying, I'm panicked on Dawson Knox. No, because I had no positive expectations for him to begin with. So just saying. Sure, we'll throw him into the panic because that means just get rid of his ass. But actually, just Hunter Henry can just go away. He shouldn't even exist on the list. I'm kidding. I'll put him back.
Jorge came in late with a lot of questions we're not going to have time to get to, but here's one that he asked specifically.
Which one? Oh, Derrick Henry.
If we're panicked or not. So, and I didn't have him on the list because his game wasn't over when I made the list.
Yeah, click off of it so I don't have you clicked on it there. There we go. Okay, so Derrick Henry. Last
question.
Cool.
Is he a bust this year? A guy wants to trade Henry and Pitts. Should I try to get them? What are we thinking about Henry?
I'm not panicked on him.
Me either.
I just think
it's been a rough start.
It's been a little bit of a rough start, and he ran into a buzzsaw tonight with the Buffalo Bills. It's perfect. Hey, moving forward this week and then the rest of the season, the best time to try and trade guys is look at the schedule and see if they play Buffalo, and then trade for them the week after they play Buffalo.
Right.
It's just a buzzsaw.
That's a fantastic point. Yeah.
So,
on both sides of the ball. Buffalo's just crushing everybody on both sides of the ball. Like, it's incredible.
The Bama of the NFL just coming in
Dude, for real. Like, if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, it'd be a massive disappointment.
It's week 2.
I know it is. But the way they look right now, if they play this way all year, and they don't win the Super Bowl.
You know, if you talk to my son, though, his whole attitude is you may as well just cancel the rest of the season and give him the trophy now. I'm like, you got to play the games.
Well,
It's hard to keep this up. It's they're just what's that?
There is a reason they play the games. So
they're in the zone right now, and I'm not saying that they're not going to be in the zone for the next 4 months, but they got to play the games, and let's kind of wait and see what happens. But they're not going anywhere. This defense is an elite defense, the number one defense in the league. So if you're going to trade for Derrick Henry, this is the perfect week to do it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And they're just
week one. He did get 21 carries in week one. So
yeah,
they're definitely going to feed him the football.
The Bills are just in midseason form already. Everyone else just has to play a little catch up. They'll play catch up. They'll catch up eventually because the Bills will peak. Sushi says Tyler Lockett for Jay Jetta's Dynasty, asking for a friend. You should absolutely.
He says
what?
Or Jay Jetta.
How is that even a question?
Not or.
Oh my god!
What happened there?
I don't know. Everything just shut off on me. It just glitched.
Sushi, it's a coin flip on that one.
Yeah,
it's so close.
It is really close.
If you're getting Lockett, I think you pull that trigger, man. Honestly,
do it.
Yep. And then trade him for Net or Kamara. Oh, that's going back into these ones that.
Jorge, come back tomorrow. We'll talk about that list of questions you just asked, buddy.
Yeah, there was.
We're wrapping up here.
Or write us on Instagram or something like that. So with that being said, you're right. We do need to wrap this up. I will give this one last look at this board here on our PaNiC and Pardons for now. So PaNiC on DJ Moore, Etienne, Alberto, Juju, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, Kyle Pitts, and Hunter Henry. Those are our PaNiCs for this week. Good times. So anyways, that's what we got. Appreciate you guys for joining us in chat. Kyle, Tony, as always. It's always a good time. And
thanks,
until next time, we'll see you.
Appreciate